So this might be the last episode of Winds of Change, so I thought that I should wear the same clothes that I wore on the first episode. Hey guys, it's your Bo the Doggo, and welcome back to Winds of Change, episode 29. I'm not sure if this will be the last episode or not. We will see. If it isn't, then there will actually be 30 episodes of Winds of Change. And in the last episode, what happened in the last episode? Fortem was shot and got into the castle. So I don't know, I hope he's okay. Pro is fighting alongside Gris. I hope he's okay. Valessa is fighting Suits alone. I hope she's okay. And yeah, I hope everyone is okay. But yeah, let's find out now, so let's go. Eventually, Pro and Gris' path lead them to a large hallway. Plenty of open space to fight and destroy the horde that pursue them. The distraction worked perfectly. Now they had just to deal with the company.
Pro, what weapons do you have?
Gris readies his large warhammer.
Daggers. My favorite. Up close and personal.
He draws them and stands beside Gris.
So, you've fought these things before?
Yeah, plenty of times. It'll be a piece of cake. Trust me.
Right.
A few moments pass, and the honor guard finally catches up with them. The horse seems to have tripled in size. Everything was going their way. At this rate, the monarch should have almost no opposition at all.
Be mindful of where you stand, Pro. If this hammer is good at anything, it's crowd control. I don't want to hit you while I'm fighting off the enemy.
Yeah, got it. I'll stay low and out of your way.
Gris nods, and they stand side by side as the enemies fill the room.
Ready?
Ooh, cool. Pro gulps.
Let's do this.
They charge into the crowd, and the fight begins. Pro makes sure to stay below shoulder height as Gris swings his hammer. He takes out about 10 suits with every swing of that mighty weapon. Pro rolls on the floor, taking them out with precise stabs to the abdomen. Shattering like glass, the suits fall at a rate that guarantees their victory. Both men pant from exertion as they fight what was hopefully their last fight. Again, I should move to the side to give you some view. For peace in Alestia, all they had to do was prevail. As the crowd thins out, they press their backs against one another. The enemies may be swinging their swords, but they landed no hits.
So, this is what I was meant to do.
Huh?
Gris swings his hammer, taking out 10 more. And then, seconds later, they're back to back once again.
Back in Mazeo, I was ready to throw my life away. You know, to atone for what I did in the Triumvirate's name. I'm glad that I didn't. I was meant to end them, not myself.
Ah. Pro smiles at his ally.
I'm glad you made the right choice then!
He lunges forward, continuing to kill the suits of armor. Gris scoffs, a wide smile appearing on his face as he fights.
No, not me. It's all thanks to the monarch.
The battle continues, but the enemy stood no chance. They were killing the suits faster than they were entering the room. And after what seems like an eternity, they entered no more. Pro falls to his knees, struggling to catch his breath. Even Gris seems winded as well. What a thrilling dance that was. And now Halin walks in like, hello guys. However, as they learn a moment later, it's not yet come to an end. Another group of hordes starts making their way into the large hallway. They laugh. Of course this wouldn't be as easy as they thought. Charging into the crowd again, the fight continues, almost endless.
There's too many of them! We need to do something and fast!
There's nothing we can do. Just stand your ground. Keep fighting!
The swings and stabs become weaker with each passing moment. What was a certain victory is now falling apart in the face of exertion. But they don't give up. Never accept defeat. Not until the very end. That was the first rule of any good gambler. And with their lives as chips on the table, they continued to play. The floor becoming a sea of white and gold in the wake of the rage. All they had to do was pray that they didn't drown in it. As their strength dwindled, they kept fighting, never giving up. That determination saw them through, right to the bitter end. Wait, the bitter end how? What end? Clays, don't do this to me! Howl is completely surrounded, fighting to the best of his effort. A one-on-one fight would be no problem, but this was too much. In total, there must have been tens of thousands of honor guards here. Fighting with his fists, he punches the suits of armor into pieces. He preferred to use his own body as a weapon, rather than anything else. Other people fought with the extension of the body, but he needed none of that. One thing was sure, he couldn't keep up forever. With the power of the monarch absorbed, he was mortal and vulnerable. However, he used a sense of dread in order to fight with more determination. Damek was nowhere to be seen, but Howl hoped that he was still alive. There were so many suits of armor that it was impossible to keep track. One stray arrow, one thrown dagger, or one sneak attack, and it was all over. As he pushed through the suits of armor, he finally saw an ally. Changing the direction of his assault, he fought his way towards them. Greeting him with a smile, it was a relief to see a friendly face once again.
Howl, watch out!
Vivian jumps behind Howl, taking out the suit that was sneaking up behind him. Thanking his ally, Howl responded by doing the same, but behind Vivian. No matter where they stood, there was always an enemy in pursuit. Arrows fly overhead every few seconds. The enemy archer was skilled. Howl couldn't see, but he knew that those arrows hit home on his allies. With his back pressed against Vivian, their rears are finally protected.
Vivian, status report. How are your men doing?
Not good, last time I checked. There's just too many of them, Howl. All we can do is wait for that bell to ring.
And if it doesn't?
Vivian lunges forward, taking out several suits of armor. Then, a moment later, he presses his back against Howl again.
Then this is it for us.
The despair in his voice was clear. They could keep fighting, but things were looking bad. Even if each man killed 100 suits, they'd still be outnumbered. Howl shakes his head, freeing himself from an onslaught of ash. The library, still ablaze, rained remnants of the monarchy upon them. The honor guard seemed unimpeded by this, but not the rebellion. It was almost as if, when the suits fought together, they shared one mind. This caused them to be weak on their own, but formidable as a group. However, it meant that the more they killed, the weaker the enemy became.
Vivian, do not give up so easily. You are set to rule the strongest nation in the world. We cannot have you return home with stories of lost hope.
As they talk, they keep fighting, because the enemy never lets up for a second.
Then we better find it again. And fast!
Arrows fly through the air once more, and screams fill the air. They knew their forces were dying. The suits had no need to scream. Howl wasn't even sure if they felt pain, or even feared their own demise, and he wondered if those things would be a weakness, or a strength. His knuckles become bloody and cracked as they fight for their lives. They continue to protect each other, fighting as if they were one body.
We need to change up our strategy. If we don't, then they'll outsmart us.
Vivian didn't respond.
Vivian?
Vivian shakes his head, panting heavily.
Sorry. It's just taking a lot out of me. I think I need to get back to the library.
Will you be okay on your own?
Yeah, I'll be fine. Will you?
Yeah, go now, while you have an opening. We will continue to fight them off.
Vivian nods, and then runs towards the library. Soon enough, he disappears into the crowd of suits. Howl's back is vulnerable once more, but he still fights. All he can do is face the enemy and his fate, head on. Charging into the crowd with a scream, rage wells up within him. There are no allies to be seen, just target after targets waiting to be killed. And that's what happened next. He shatters the enemy like weak glass. They fall to the ground, leaving a trail of carnage in his wake. He had killed more than his fair share, and still went on. Eventually, a barrage of arrows assaults him. No! Piercing through his torso, it causes him to grunt in immense pain. He does his best to shake it off, but it's almost too much. Now that the excess spirits were removed from his body, he was mortal. Because of that, he let the arrows stay inside his body. Pulling them out would be nothing short but a death sentence. But so too was rushing headfirst into a horde of those suits. All of a sudden, it's harder for him to keep track of everything that's happening. Confusion sets in, and he starts longing for his ally to return and help him. But even if they did come back, they would arrive a moment too late. He turns around, looking for more enemies, and one is right there. They thrust their longsword deep in his gut, and he stumbles back. No! But then he quickly lunges forward, destroying the suit with a harsh punch. More suits crumble down around him, and miraculously, he's still fighting. It was miraculous that he was still standing, so he fought with fever. However, the archers from before were preparing another shot. Moments later, his back is full of arrows as they hit their target. His body starts to feel numb, and he falls to his knees with a cry. The honor guard surrounds him, and he's too weak to fight back. In his current state, all he could do was stand his ground and seek mercy. Yet he chooses not to. He'd never accept defeat without putting up a fight. He takes out a few more suits before they start to fight back. Perhaps they were giving him a chance to surrender and accept death. However, such opportunity he passed, and Sword soon assaults him. They work quick, covering Hal's entire body with wounds. He falls down to the ground, trembling from the intense pain. Blood pools around him, spilling until there's nothing left to spill. No, Hal! No! Then the honor guard walks away, realizing they had won. Hal lays there, looking up at the sky and the steadily falling ash. It covers him, and he becomes one with the remnants of his people. Okay. Fuck. Fortin pants heavily, panicking with an arrow in his side. He knew that if he pulled it out, things would only get worse. It would be the best to keep it inside until he could find some help. It wouldn't be fatal, so that gave him a great relief on its own. Hiding in a spare room he needed to take a breather. It was perfect timing, as suits started to scurry around outside.
It can't be too far away. How high up does this castle even go?
He shakes his head, realizing that there was no way to find out. But as soon as he goes to sneak out of the room, he bumps into a table. A bottle of wine falls to the side and shatters with an echo. His entire body tenses up as he hears the honor guard stop moving. No, 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 no! He runs to the other side of the room and hides behind a curtain. It would have been easy to sneak around them, if not for the wine. Now every single suit of armor in that hallway would know that he's here. He remains as still as possible as one of them enters the room to scout. The suit kneels down to inspect the broken glass and then looks over to the curtain. His cover was blown. He had made a small train of wine with his footsteps. He holds his breath as the suit of armor makes its way to his location. Then, a few moments later, it plunges his sword right into the curtain. I don't want to click next now. Okay, let's go. Fortin dodges to the left and then rips the curtain down from the wall. Wrapping it around the suit of armor, he has it in a strong chokehold. He hesitates for a moment and then snaps his enemy's neck. The suit crumbles, but has nowhere to fall, being held together by the curtain. He slowly rests it on the ground. This was his first kill. If he survived to ring that bell, he knew that he would never be the same. He slowly unravels the curtain and grabs the sword belonging to the suit. As soon as he does, more of them enter the room to check up on their ally. Fortin wondered if they felt emotion, if they mourned the suit that he killed. They drew their swords, but Fortin wasn't sure what prompted it. Anger at the dead ally, or perhaps blind loyalty to the Triumvirate. He'd never know, and in that moment, he realized that it was for the best. Sword clashed against sword as he fought for his life. But not just his, almost everybody else's lives were at stake too. They were relying on him to ring that bell, and he couldn't let them down. All he had to do was survive. Clays, you can't be doing this to me! When we get inside the castle, I notice that it's completely empty. I'm filled with hope, Pro must have been successful with his distraction. Otherwise, this place would be teeming with those suits of armor. All we had to do was to make our way to the top and take them down. With the Triumvirate dead and that bell rung, victory was ours. I cross my fingers, hoping that 4 times travels are going well.
Wow. I haven't been to this place in ages. It doesn't look any different though. Just as uninviting. We want to go right up those stairs, Monarch. This is it.
Okay. I nod. He was right. This was the end of our journey. After everything I've been through, I was finally in their castle. I start walking towards the stairs. My next actions were clear.
Hey, not so fast. You should let me take point. I know the layout of this castle and where to go. It gets a bit confusing up there. Trust me on that.
Confusing? How so?
Lots of stairs. I hope you're okay with that. And be careful. We don't want to fall into a trap.
Okay.
This place is massive. It would be easy to ambush us.
Not a second later, somebody enters the room from the opposite side. It's that man from the HQ, the one with Sovi, clad in white and gold. He descends the stairs, laughing at us. A horde of suits follows.
Ambush? No, I don't play cheap, not like Sovi. I'd merely like to call this a welcoming party of sorts. An ambush is unexpected. Surely you knew I'd be here.
I unsheathed my blade and hold it out towards our enemy. There was no time to argue semantics with the likes of him. But, as if to guard me, Ulrich and Sovi steps forward, getting in the way.
Halin, don't you think it's time you gave up? You've been bound to their will, following orders for so long. Let us remove that curse. We can give you your freedom back.
Clear an act. Sovi wanted Halin dead. That, and he could never agree. He was under their thrall. A moment later, Halin disappears into the crowd of suits.
Freedom? I don't need freedom. I exist to serve the Triumvirate, and that is final. You did too, but you threw it away in your folly.
The suits of armor reach the bottom of the stairs. But Halin is nowhere to be seen. We just hear his voice. He must have used the confusion of the crowd to escape.
You stand in the realm of gods now. It is time you spoke with your resolve. If it is strong enough, then you will find me.
The Honor God draws his swords, and Halin's laughter fills the room.
And if it is not, then you will perish. So do it. Show me the determination of your rebellion. Speak against your gods and see how they answer.
At Halin's command, the Honor Guard charges in our direction. Solvik and Ulrich are the first to fight, making sure that I'm protected. But I make sure to play my part, and I take them down with similar ease. The suits of armor stands no chance against the Blade of Exodus. The same could be said for Ulrich's greatswords and Sovi's fists. I'm confident in our victory, but I try not to get too cocky. It seems like there were almost 1,000 suits of armor here. Though we're doing good now, our bodies could easily weaken. A viable tactic: wear out your enemy with excessive numbers. As we fight, we find ourselves surrounded more and more. The Honor Guard seems to almost have herded us to a specific location. I stand back to back with Sovi and Ulrich, and we are panting heavily.
Ulrich, put away your sword.
Huh?
Don't you remember?
They both look at me.
Yeah, of course.
He sheathes his massive blade as the Zeus closes in on us.
Monarch, open your mind to us. Treat us as extensions of your body.
Huh? I'm confused, but I nod. We need to take action, and now! I lunge forward and destroy one of the suits.
Good. Now it's my turn.
Then the blade moves from my hand to Sovi's. He does the same as me and destroys several suits. As if passing a baton, Ulrich is up next, swinging the blade.
It's been too long, Sovi.
Then, almost instantaneously, it's back in my hands, and I keep fighting. We're pressed back to back, exchanging the blade with our power. Facing it from person to person as needed, we're almost one mind.
Yes, really gets my blood boiling.
As if it's an intricately choreographed dance, we continue to fight. In this moment, we really did command the blade. We were its owners. I felt unstoppable, but then I realized, could a Triumvirate do this as well? If they could, then we're in for a difficult fight.
Over here!
I let Ulrich take the blade, and we continue passing it around. It isn't much longer until the horde is thinned out. We're winning. This is true teamwork, unlike anything I've seen in my entire life.
Monarch, look out!
I take back the blade and destroy the suits in front of me. The numbers have easily halved just in a few short minutes. At this rate, we'll be free to take those stairs at any second.
They mean to kill us with mindless slaves. I wish they had the courage to meet us face to face.
The Triumvirate must have been scared. I could feel it. In the end, all tyrants had left to do is cower in fright. Whatever game they were playing, it would soon be over. We continue our dance until the last suit of armor has fallen. Though we reduced to exhaust messes, we had won. Taking deep breaths, we tried to regain our composure.
So, up we go?
Yeah.
I phased the blade back into my hand and sheathed it. Looking towards the stairs, it seems that our next goal is clear. When we got up there, we'd make him regret taunting us. We make our way upstairs in pursuit of Halin. After what just happened, it was certain that we'd win this. With our strengths combined, nothing could stand in our way. The first thing that I see is stairs. Lots of stairs. They lead upward in every conceivable direction. I know I was told that there would be a lot of stairs, but this is insane! The second thing I notice is the complete lack of Halin. Had he fled up those staircases? Where could he be? Actually, I'm starting to wonder how he disappeared like that. If he was made from the blade, could he face around as well? I hope that's not the case. That would prove far too tricky. However, due to his loyalty, I know that we'll be in for a fight. Destroyed suits of armor and their swords line the floor. This must be the remnants of a previous fight. Perhaps 410 more Pro came here before us.
Be careful, Monarch. Try not to let Halin steal the blade from you. Remember, we all possess the same ability.
Ah.
Yeah, make sure to be on your guard. We killed his suit, so he's probably scared. I wouldn't be surprised if he resorts to trickery.
I nod. That was good advice. I take it to heart as we walk towards the stairs. We hear Halin's voice, but can't see him at all.
Well then, perhaps you're stronger than I thought. No matter though. I've been waiting for a worthy opponent. I'll savor killing you, Monarch. Every single moment.
I don't like this. That's when I finally see him, on one of the many flights of stairs. He's slowly making his way down, almost as if he's buying some time. I move to meet him halfway, but suddenly, there's no need to move at all.
Monarch, look out!
Almost instinctively, I lower myself as close to the ground as possible. From behind, a massive sword is swung. It came close enough to removing my head. I turn around, greeted to the side of Halin. So he can move around like that.
Saved by your friends, as always. I wonder how you'd handle things on your own. What do you say? Want to put that to the test?
No. Ulrich steps forward, interrupting before I can respond.
We don't have time for your games, Halin. We will give you one chance. Surrender or die.
And who says you get to call the shots? Remember, I exist to manifest the Triumvirate's will, and right now, what they want is to see you all dead.
Halin draws another sword, holding out two large blades.
I've never let them down, and I don't plan on starting. You think you're special? That you're here to seize your destiny? No, you're nothing more than another insect for me to crush. You may have made it farther than most, but it doesn't matter. Even atop the highest mountain, an insect is still an insect. A being that exists for one purpose. To be exterminated!
Yeesh. He charges towards me, and I do the same. Pulling out the blade of Exodus, our swords clash as we meet. They meet again and again, the echo filling the room as we fight. His strength is astounding, as well as his speed. I've never seen a man fighting with two swords quite so gracefully. He tries to trick me with fake swings and sudden movements, but he has to try harder than that. I counter him with ease. This dance continues as we show no sign of tiring out. At this rate, death would come to whoever slipped up first. But I can't slip up. I have to win. I have to take down the Triumvirate. This world belongs to me. I was the rightful heir to the throne. Halin was just a lackey to some power-hungry group of 3. If there was any justice in the world, then I would prevail. Perhaps I let it get to my head, and this lets Halin land a blow. Thrusting his blade into my shoulder, he twists it, and then pulls it out. No! It was a wound that would prove to be harmless in the long run. But the pain is so intense that all I can do is stand there, stiff and motionless. My blood drips to the floor and I take a few steps back, losing balance.
Monarch!
Sovil lunges forward and pushes me to the ground. Facing the blade into his hand, he blocks Halin's next attack. I bleed on the floor as I watch Sovi fight his former apprentice.
There's something different about you, Sovi. Where was this passion when we worked together?
Swords continue to clash, and Halin is right. I've never seen Sovi quite so determined.
The Triumvirate doesn't allow passion, Halin. They take everything away. They bleed you dry and offer nothing in return, nothing but empty words. The rebellion gave me a place in this world. I belong to them now.
You mean they seduced you with flights of fancy? You honestly believe that he is our rightful ruler?
Sovi nods.
Without a doubt, I'd give my life for the monarch. I know the truth of the spirit realm. The Triumvirate told me. This isn't some dream or fantasy. They told me themselves.
Halin seems surprised, as if he still trusts Sovi.
You mean?
Yes, that's what they told me before we left for Mazeo. It's why I didn't kill the monarch when I had the chance. I told myself I'd never harm those in charge of this world. That's what separates the both of us, Halin. My loyalty is to Alestia. Yours is to the Triumvirate. They made you a slave, with no choice but to obey.
No, I want to serve them. Your faith was challenged, and you gave up. I'm not that weak. I stand tall and remain in line.
Sovi lowers the blade, signaling his intent to stop fighting.
Then let the monarch remove the curse they've put on you. If you still want to serve them, then we can continue to fight. And if not, then you'll realize that you were wrong all along.
Halin reacts with anger at the last part and charges towards Sovi. And they fight again, just when things started to turn around.
No, I'm not wrong. I'll never give up, Sovi. Never. If you want to pay with your life, then I'll accept that toll. But know this. It brings me no pleasure to...
And a moment later, Sovi thrusts the blade through Halin's gut. What? Sovi looks horrified as he harms his former apprentice and friend. No turning back. This was the exact moment his defection was complete.
Sovi!
Halin grunts in pain as Sovi removes the blade. A horrific wound, but I don't think it would be enough. Created from the blade, Halin was surely resilient.
Halin, I'm sorry. I didn't want it to be this way.
I can hear such sadness in his voice. He's conflicted. Looking down at the floor, Sovi shakes as he's watching Halin bleed out. A moment later, he falls forward and Sovi catches him in his arms. On the verge of tears, Sovi turns Halin around. Lowering him to the ground, he puts him in a strong chokehold. Halin struggles, oh my god! Halin struggles trying to escape, but the wound rendered him too weak.
Monarch, do something! I don't care what it is, just do it!
I look over at Ulrich and he watches in shock. I know that that wound wouldn't kill Halin, just temporarily incapacitate him. Sophie must have known, but the sight and what he did was still too much for him. There was no way that Halin could fight back right now. I could kill him with no difficulty at all, but I could also save him. If I removed the curse on his mind, maybe he'd serve our cause instead. But was that worth the risk? Something tells me that I don't have much time to decide. If Sophie held him like that too long, he'd be dead for sure. What should I do? This choice will affect the future of Alestia. We are going to liberate Halin. I like Halin. I know he's an evil guy, but I think there's good in him. So we're gonna liberate him. I had to liberate Halin. I had to let him survive and give him a chance. If he still chooses to oppose us, then we could execute him after the war. But as long as his conversion was a possibility, I had to take a choice. I tell Sophie to release the chokehold, but hold Halin in place. He obeys without hesitation, and I slowly make my way over to him. Pressing the blade against Halin's chest, I ask it to give him his freedom. A few seconds later, Halin falls onto the ground, unconscious. I have him carried over to a safe spot where he could recover in silence. If and when he woke up, I hoped that he would be as a new and smarter man. With that out of the way, we had to make our way up those stairs. With a few more minutes, I'd be face to face with our enemy. It was time to rise to the challenge and change this world.
You know what? I'll stay behind. Pro and Fortum should be at the atrium any minute now. I want to make sure I'm there to greet them and fill them in.
Good idea.
Are you sure?
Yeah. It's not my place to face the Triumvirate. Not again. This fight belongs to the both of you. So go and see it through.
We both nod at him as he makes his way back to the atrium. On his way out, he picks up the sword from the ground. Sophie scoffs and does the same thing soon after.
A good idea, actually. Something tells me we'll be fighting even more. Say, can you do me one favor before we head up?
I guess. I nod.
Here. Just trust me.
He reaches out behind me and adjusts my scabbard. I'm not sure why, but he switches it to the other side. I'm not left-handed, so that made things awkward. But I chose to trust him.
Thank you.
And a second later, we're making our way up the stairs. Would that have happened, because in the beginning of the game, I decided where to put the sword, if I should have it on the right or the left side, and haven't come up after that. Would he not have changed it if I had it on the left side from the beginning? Oh! And if Sophie wasn't here, if I didn't have Sophie with me here, he wouldn't have changed the direction of the sword or whatever. So the sword would have been lying on the right side, and that apparently would be wrong. It would have some impact on what's happening. I guess. Interesting. So that's the first choice we'd made in the game almost would already have an impact on the end game. Cool. And a second later, we're making our way up the stairs. All we had to do was to dethrone the Triumvirate. Simple enough. After that, I'd meet my friends in the atrium. At least, the one that survived. So that means not Howl. Damek fights for his life in the town square, surrounded by suits of armor. He's lost sight of all his allies and is unable to tell if they're even still alive. Still, he fights on. He'd never give up, not when he's this close to the end. That bell would surely ring any minute and bring an end to the war. If the monarchs follow through, then this world belonged to them. This is the fact that kept him going, even as his hope was lost. Fatigue started to settle in, making him move slower. As suits of armor fell, so did his strength and resolve. He was surrounded, fighting in every direction.
Come on, 14, we can't hold the town square forever!
And just then, an arrow pierces through his shoulder. He stumbles back and falls to his knees before pushing it out. This pain was minuscule compared to what he felt back in Mazeo. Rising up, he starts to fight with anger as well as determination. In a rage, he takes down the suits of armor even faster than before. Another arrow pierces through his upper body, but nothing could stop him now. Keeping this arrow in, he grabs another sword that lay on the ground. Fighting with 2 of them, he's able to guard himself more efficiently. The suits of armor are arriving faster than he can kill them, however. Soon enough, he was surrounded by more suits than he could hope to kill. With no allies around him to come to his aid, he knew that things were dire. If Fortune didn't ring that bell, then this could very well be the final stand. He throws his second sword on the ground and takes a deep breath. He was prepared to face his death. This somehow made him stronger. The pain from the arrow only served to push him to more extremes.
I guess it's time.
No! His fighting starts to become more desperate, as tears blur his vision. The fact that he couldn't see any of his friends just hurt him even more. He had to assure that everybody around him had fallen during battle.
Stay back! I'm warning you!
He held out his sword, as to threaten. His hand trembles. The honor guard did not heed his warning, and they closed in on him. Having no choice but to continue fighting, he lets out labored grunts. Through his blurred visions, he's almost unable to make out anything. His saving grace is the contrast of the white suits over Boltia's decay. Using that as a guide, he's able to keep taking down his enemies. He tries fighting his way in the direction of the archers. Those were more of a threat to him than the suits with swords. In fact, he was certain that those archers had killed quite a few men. And unfortunately, he may be the next one added to their count. An arrow shoots through his gut, and he screams, falling back, "No! Stop it!" Not a grievous wound, but he's immediately caught off guard. Something smashes into the back of his head, and he collapses. Turning around, he sees a suit, holding a rock, covered in his blood. Ah! An open wound in the back of his head starts to stain in the ground.
What?
He writhes on the ground in pain and confusion. The suit kneels down and grabs the sword from the ground. It was the same one that Damek had discarded moments earlier. He's surprised to see the rest of the honor guard stand down, as if they had a knowledge that this one deserved to deal the final blow. Damek cries, looking up in horror as the suit raises up the sword. But before they can follow through the thrust, something happens. An arrow pierces through the suit of armor and it crumbles to the ground. Damek looks around in confusion. Had an ally finally came to his aid?
Damek, give me your hand!
It's Shane! Shane? Damek cries out softly, not sure what's going on. Last time he saw Shane, he tried to kill him and basically succeeded. But here he was, offering his hand. What was happening?
Damek, quick! You don't have much time!
Damek shakes his head, but then realizes that he has no other options. Grabbing Shane's hand, he accepts the help and rises up to his feet. Imagine if I killed Shane. He would not have been here and saved Damek, and Damek would have died. Oh my god. He stumbles forward, almost falling back down, but he doesn't. He presses his back against Shane, still a bit delirious. But his friend supports him as he draws a set of daggers. Confusion assails Damek as everything was happening so fast.
There. We're even now.
Damek nods.
So what do you say, Damek? Fight? Just like old times?
Damek nods again and raises his sword. A moment later, they both charge towards the suits of armor. Like a team and like friends, they fight together once more.
Just keep it up, Damek. I'll patch you up as soon as we're safe.
Yay!
Shane, talk to me. Why are you doing this?
But Shane doesn't answer, at least not before the bell is rung. A loud ringing fills the air, delivering the sound of hope to Damek's ears. Fortem had achieved his goal. This means that his allies are still alive! Yes! Go Fortem! Damek goes to keep fighting, but Shane holds him back.
Damek, no! Look! It's over.
Oh? The honor guards turn to stare at the source of the ringing. Then, they throw their swords on the ground without hesitation. Starting to march away, they abandon all their previous efforts.
We did it. I can't believe this.
Without a word, Shane just stands there along with Damek. Together, as the ash rains down upon them, they watch the foes flee. Damek smiles, a few tears running down his face. Was it really over? No, that wasn't the right way of looking at it. Things had just begun. The monarch had to finish it all. Damek looked at the direction of the castle, as hope rises within him.
Monarch, good luck. We're all counting on you.
The town square is soon devoid of all foes. But now, without obstructed vision, Damek can see all of his allies. They raise their swords in the air and start cheering. Baltius was theirs. And soon, the lives of the Triumvirate would be theirs as well. They cheer the monarch's name, and then that's all Damek can hear. Bow dog! But that's all he needed to hear, for the name of the monarch meant hope. And you know, guys, I'm ending the episode here. This has been going on much longer than I thought it would. I guess I will have to re-record the intro then, because I said in the intro that this will be the last episodes of Winds of Change, because I really thought that it would be. But I guess it's not. Then there will be at least one more episode, so But anyways, you know what to do if you enjoyed the video. And a big thank you to all of my patrons. If you want your name here and join our epic hangouts, there's a link in the description that you can check out. This series will soon be over, so see if you have any other game you want me to play, leave them in the comment below. But yeah, until next time, guys, remember that you are loved and appreciated, and you should be proud of who you are, because I will see you in the next episode. Bye! I guess there will be 30 episodes after all. Nice.